Imagine you're lying in bed at 11 p.m., half asleep, when out of nowhere your brain decides to replay a moment from 8 years ago when you called someone the wrong name in front of the entire class. No trigger, no reason, it just shows up, complete with the exact sound of everyone laughing. You immediately curl up, grab a pillow, and make a noise you can't even describe yourself. The weird part is, you don't remember your thesis advisor's name, you don't remember your childhood home phone number. But that one humiliating detail from a decade ago is stored in perfect, high-resolution detail, like it happened yesterday afternoon. This is a question almost nobody stops to ask seriously, even though nearly every human on the planet experiences it. Why does your brain, supposedly this expensive, sophisticated evolutionary machine, choose to preserve your most embarrassing moments in Ultra HD, while genuinely important information just quietly disappears like an unread text message? The answer isn't that your brain hates you. Your brain is actually running an ancient security system, one that hasn't gotten a single update in hundreds of thousands of years. Let's start with the part of your brain responsible for this whole mess, the amygdala. The amygdala is a pair of small, almond-shaped structures sitting deep in your brain, and it has basically one job: detecting threats. Not just physical threats like predators, but social threats too. Yes, social threats. To your ancient brain, being humiliated in front of a group isn't just an awkward moment. It registers as a high-level danger signal. Why? Because hundreds of thousands of years ago, before digital wallets and food delivery apps existed, humans lived in small groups that depended entirely on each other to survive. Social reputation wasn't about vanity, it was about life and death. If the group saw you as careless, untrustworthy, or embarrassing, the risk wasn't getting roasted in a group chat. The risk was getting cast out. And getting cast out of the group on the ancient savannah was essentially a slow death sentence. No shared food, no protection at night, no one to help you when you got sick. So your amygdala, which has absolutely no idea what year it is and doesn't know you're not actually going to get exiled from your family group over one mispronounced name, still treats that embarrassing moment as an existential threat. And whenever your brain flags something as a serious threat, it activates a high-priority memory storage system. This is where two hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, come into play. The moment that embarrassing thing happens, your body floods your brain with these stress hormones. The result is that your hippocampus, the brain's memory filing clerk, goes into overdrive. It records every tiny detail in extreme resolution. The color of the shirt the person laughing at you was wearing, the exact sound of the laugh, even the temperature of the room. This phenomenon has an official name in neuroscience: flashbulb memory. The term was popularized by psychologists Roger Brown and James Kulik in the late 70s. They found that emotionally charged events, whether major tragic news or a personal embarrassing moment, get encoded with far sharper detail than ordinary neutral daily events. Now, compare that to a neutral moment like what you had for breakfast 3 days ago. No threat, no stress hormone spike, so the hippocampus just stores it in low quality, like a photo compressed one too many times, until it eventually gets deleted entirely because your brain decides it's not relevant to your survival. There's another layer that makes this embarrassment feel far worse than it should. Something psychologist Thomas Gilovich called the spotlight effect. In the year 2000, Gilovich ran a deceptively simple experiment. He had college students wear a slightly embarrassing t-shirt, then walk into a room full of people. Afterward, he asked the students to guess what percentage of people in the room had noticed the shirt. On average, they guessed around 50%. But when the people in the room were actually asked, only about 25% had noticed or remembered any detail of it. Your brain systematically overestimates how much other people are watching and remembering your mistakes. In reality, most people in that room were too busy worrying about their own appearance and their own mistakes to care about yours. Ironically, while you're wide awake at 2 a.m. replaying something from 8 years ago, the person who laughed at you back then has almost certainly forgotten it happened by the next morning. But why does one embarrassing moment outweigh a mountain of good ones? You could get complimented 10 times in a week and forget all of it by tomorrow, yet one sarcastic comment can echo in your head for years. This isn't a coincidence, and it actually has an official name in psychology: negativity bias. Psychologist Roy Baumeister and his team published a famous paper in 2001 titled "Bad is Stronger Than Good." After reviewing hundreds of psychological studies, they concluded that Consistently, negative events have a much larger and longer-lasting psychological impact than positive events of equal intensity. Your brain is essentially running a rigged scale, where 1 pound of bad feels heavier than 1 pound of good. Evolutionarily, this makes sense. Missing out on one good opportunity, like a piece of sweet fruit you didn't get to eat, only costs you a few calories. But missing a single danger signal, like realizing the group now sees you as untrustworthy, could cost you your life. So your ancestors' brains evolved to weight threats and mistakes far more heavily, and that rigged scale is still fully installed in your head today. There's one more process that makes embarrassing memories even harder to shake, and it happens while you're asleep. Sleep neuroscience research has found that during certain sleep stages, your brain actively replays the day's memory traces, a process called memory consolidation. The hippocampus selects which memories are important enough to move into long-term storage in the cortex. The problem is, emotionally charged memories, like embarrassment, get top priority for replay and reinforcement, way ahead of neutral ones. So every single night you sleep, your brain is, without being asked, diligently rehearsing the neural pathways tied to that embarrassing moment, making it even more solid. Kind of like cramming for an exam by repeating something over and over, except this time what you're memorizing is the exact thing you're desperately trying to forget. So why didn't evolution just delete these embarrassing memories if they're apparently just useless suffering? This is where the hidden function actually gets clever. That painful shame is functioning as a long-term social warning system, a biological alarm specifically installed to make sure you don't repeat the same social mistake twice. Imagine if your brain were completely neutral toward social mistakes, with no strong shame response stored at all. You'd probably keep repeating the exact behavior that pushes the group away, without ever learning. This clinging embarrassment, however painful, is actually a stubborn but effective teacher, one that makes sure you stay accepted by the group, because being accepted by the group used to be the absolute requirement for staying alive. So the next time that embarrassing memory resurfaces at 11 p.m., wrecking sleep that should have been peaceful, remember that it's not your brain punishing you for no reason. It's the leftover of an ancient social security system, still faithfully running, even though the world around you has changed completely, and even though the threat of being exiled over one awkward moment stopped being relevant a very long time ago. The system is outdated, like an old app that never got updated, but it's still quietly running in the background of your brain every single day. And maybe the only way to make peace with it isn't trying to delete it, because that's impossible, but realizing that ancient alarm is far louder than any actual threat that exists in your world today.